Hey, what's up YouTube? In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to make another Minecraft skin statue. This time, it's going to be Thor out of the Avengers, and the statue is based on the skin out of the Marvel Avengers skin pack that was released on the Xbox 360, the skin that I'm giving you a bit of a twirl of now. I was going to design my own Avengers, but Minecraft beat me to it. What are you going to do? So, if you want to make it, here's what you're going to need. You're going to need black wool, dark grey, light grey wool, dark blue, cyan, brown wool, yellow, red, and finally sandstone block. I think that we're only going to be needing one more colour, and I think that's light blue for the eyes. But we won't be needing that for a very long time. So once you've got your colours and once you've figured out where you want to make it, I'm going to be making it right here. You're going to want to start out with a row of 8 black wool in a row on the floor. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That will give us the base of our Thor statue. So what you want to do for the next row is just copy the previous. So you just want to do another row of 8 black wool on top of your row of 8 to give you 2 rows of black wool. Next row wants to be entirely cyan. The row after that wants to be entirely dark blue. Row after that, cyan again. And finally the row after that, another row of dark blue to give you a little bit of a stripy pattern. Next row, you want to do a single black wool on the ends of the row, like that. You then want to fill the middle section in with cyan wool. Next row is very similar, except this time you want to do 2 black on the ends of the row coming towards the centre, and then fill the centre in with cyan wool. Next row, we're going to be doing this a little differently, so here's what you want to do. On the ends of the next row, you're going to want to do 4 dark blue going directly up, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and on the other end of the row as well, 1, 2, 3, 4. Next to the dark blue, you're going to want to do equal rows of black right next to them, so just 2 rows of 4 black. And then what you want to do is you want to fill this entire middle section that you're left with in with cyan wool. So just fill that little section in with cyan wool, and you should be left with something, oops, all over the place. You should be left with something which should look like that, and those are Thor's legs in their entirety. So pause that if necessary, make sure you've got that right. Once you've done that, we're going to be moving on to the torso, and I'm just going to give you a bit of a warning here. The torso is kind of tricky. So it's going to be a lot of left to right building, a lot of that. The torso's the hardest part. It's going to take us the longest amount of time to make. Once you've done this, rest is going to be easy. So for the first row of the torso, you're just going to want to, of course, come up to the top of the legs, and you're just going to want to do an entire row of black. Next row. Next row, you're going to want to place 2 dark blue in the center of the next row. You're then going to want to place a single black on the ends of the row, and then you're just going to want to fill the rest of the row in with dark grey wool. Next row, you're going to want to do this. Middle of the row wants to be dark blue again. Directly next to the dark blue, you want to place a single dark grey. Next to the dark grey, single light grey, and then on the ends of the row, just place black again to give you something which should look like that. Next row, you're going to want to place a single black wool on the ends of the row. You're then going to want to place a single brown coming towards the centre, just on top of the light greys that you had on the previous row, and then the rest of the row can be filled in with black wool. Next row, you're just going to want to place a single brown on the ends of the row, and then black everywhere in between. Next row, somewhat similar, you're just going to want to place dark grey on the ends of the row, and then black everywhere in between. Next row, you're going to want to place a single light grey on the ends of the row, a single brown coming towards the centre, and then black everywhere else. Are we about halfway up yet? I'm gonna show you. I think we're about midway up the torso, so that's what you want to have so far. Well, we're further than midway up. We're 7 rows in. Torso's 12. If my maths is correct, hang on a second. Yep, more than halfway done. So that's what you want so far for the torso. Pause that if necessary. Once you've done that, we can continue up the torso. So next row, you're just going to want to do 4 dark blue in the 4 middle spots just on top of the black, and then you're just going to want to fill the rest of the row in with brown wool. Next row, something similar, 4 dark blue in the middle of the row, a single black each side of the dark blue, and then brown to finish off the row. Next row, I'm just going to be doing this from left to right just because it seems easier. So going from left to right, here, just calling out the colours. 1 dark grey, 1 light grey, 1 dark grey, 2 brown, 1 dark grey, 1 light grey, 1 dark grey. Next row, you just want to place 2 light grey in the centre of the row, and then dark grey everywhere else. For the next row, you're going to want to place a single dark grey on the ends of the row. Sandstone in the 2 centre spots, just sitting on top of the light grey there, and then light grey everywhere else. Let me show you what that wants to look like, because once you've done that, you've done Thor's entire torso. It's a bit random, isn't it? It's a bit mishmashy, the torso. Definitely the hardest part of this, so once you've done that, pause that if necessary of course, we can get to work on the arms. So, as a matter of fact, before we do work on the arms, I always like to do this. I always like to have a bit of a view of the legs and the torso together. I always like to see how they look. They always look a little weird, so that's what you want to have. Once you are at this point, pause that if necessary, then we can move on to the arms. So, take out your sandstone, and you're going to want to come to the first row of the torso, where we have this entire row of black just sitting above the legs. What you want to do is you want to extend out that row of black by 4 each side of the statue with your sandstone. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and on the other side as well. So 1, 2, 3, 4. To give you the first row of the arms, you've just got the hands there, and we're going to be working on the right arm first. So coming over to the right side here, on top of the row of sandstone that we've just made, you're going to want to do an entire row of cyan wool, and by entire row I mean those 4 blocks. Top of the cyan, you're just going to want to do an entire row of dark blue. Top of the dark blue, entire row of dark grey. And here's where we're going to be building it a little different. So they're the first 4 rows of the hand. What you want to do for the rest of them, you want to raise up this row right here, and this row right next to the torso, up until it reaches the top of the torso. So you want to do this with your dark grey. Instead of trying to explain it, I'll just do it. You want to raise those 2 rows right up to the top of the torso. Because we're making Thor's chainmail here, it'll make sense. So what you then want to do, after that, is you want to do this in both of those empty rows. And I'm just going to call out the colours. So starting on the outside one first, going directly up, you want to do 2 light grey, 1 dark grey. And then you're going to be doing this pattern until you reach the top. 1 light grey, 1 dark grey, 1 light grey, 1 dark grey, 1 light grey. So you want to have something which looks like that. And you want to do the same thing in the other empty row right there as well. So starting from the bottom, you're just going to want to do 2 light grey, 1 dark grey, and then alternate between light grey and dark grey until you reach the top of the statue. And I know that looks kind of weird since you've got the double light grey, but that was the only way to make it. If you have a look at the actual skin, it's kind of weird. It's you can't make it properly, but it should be evenly spaced apart. There shouldn't really be a double light grey at the bottom. But what are you gonna do? They don't think of us. They don't think of us when they design the skins. I would have. So that's what you want for the entire arm. Pause that if necessary. Once you've done that, you're going to want to do the exact same thing on the other side here. So I'm going to be making this ever so slightly quicker. So on top of your sandstone wool, I was just about to say, on top of your sandstone block, you want to do an entire row of cyan wool. Top of the cyan, entire row of dark blue. Top of the dark blue, entire row of dark grey. Then you want to raise up the appropriate row. I had a feeling I said that weird. Appropriate. Weird word. You want to raise up those 2 rows with dark grey, and then you want to do the same pattern that you did on the other side. I'm aware it's getting dark, but I want to finish this and you have the other arm for reference anyway. So then you just want to do the 2 light grey, 1 dark grey, and then alternate between light grey and dark grey, and then the same thing in the other row as well, to give you something which should look like that. And overall, let me show you both arms together. That's what you want to have. So I'll be showing you this again in the light, but that's what you want to have so far. Pause that if necessary. I'll be back once it's light again. So I said that I'd show you again in the daytime, so there you have it. That is the torso with both of the arms. That's what it wants to look like. If you manage one arm, you can do the other. It's just a mirror image. So pause that if necessary, and let me show you what you want to have so far. So once you're at this point right here, once you've got that, and again, pause that if necessary if you need to catch up and such. Once you've done that, you have done the entire front of the statue, minus the head of course. So once you are at this point here, we can get to work on the back. So coming down to the bottom of that statue, taking a sideways on view like this, you're going to want to do this. You want to extend back the feet by 3 rows with your black wool. So you just want to do this, 1, 2, 3, and on the other side as well, just the edge of the feet, 1, 2, 3. To give you 2 rows of 3 black wool. You then want to connect those 2 rows together from the back blocks, like that. And what you've done there is essentially giving yourself the base layer of the back of our Thor, and these sides as well, because this is how it's going to work. We're going to now build up the entire back of the statue exactly how we did the front of the statue. And then we're going to be building up the sides and the throne on the head, and then we're going to mire our statue. So for the time being, you just want to focus on these 8 blocks at the back right here. You want to ignore these 2 side blocks that we have here on the left and the right. So continuing on up the back, for the second row of the back of the legs, you just want an entire row of black wool again. So just throw on an entire row of black wool. Then for the next row, and this is going to seem familiar, these next few rows, you're going to want to do an entire row of cyan, then an entire row of dark blue, then an entire row of cyan, and then you're going to want to do 2 rows of dark blue. So 1 and 2. To give you something which should look a little bit like that. And you're going to want to make sure you've done that right, because the next part of the back is extremely easy. So once you are at this point here, the rest of the back, the whole back of the legs and the whole back of the statue, not the back of the arms however, wants to be entirely red. And here's why. Thor has a very large cloak. End of explanation. So the rest of the statue, rest of the back of the statue minus the arms of course, I have to keep saying that otherwise you might colour the back of the arms in with red, just wants to be entirely red, and I've just laid out the groundwork there. I've just made that into a shape and then I'm going to fill that in. And later on, once we've done the head, like when we're making adjustments to the helmet later on and putting the finishing touches on, we're going to make the cloak a little bit more 3D. So for now, you just want to throw in all of your red wool into the back like this, and it actually looks pretty cool later on once it's all 3D and once the whole statue's together. But for now, it wants to look a little something like that. And however you want to fill the back in, it doesn't really matter if you want to make it into a shape like I have, or if you want to do it row by row, whatever your preference is. But it just wants to come out looking like that, and it should just be in line with the top of the torso. As you can see, there's no need for counting or anything like that. Just make sure it lines up with the front of the statue. So once you've done that, pause that if necessary of course, we can get to work on the back of the arms. And unfortunately for us gentlemen, and ladies possibly, according to my statistics at least, I don't know how many of you guys are lying about that, but apparently it's a pretty even split between male and female. I'm not sure. So there's got to be some liars out there. So the back of the arms are ever so slightly different, but they're kind of similar to the front. So here's what you want to do. You're going to want to first of all raise out the first row of the hands in the exact same position as you have them on the front of the statue. So with your sandstone, you're just going to want to do the first row of the hands just like you did on the front of the statue. And again, you don't really need to work it out exactly, you just have to line it up with the front of the statue. And I guess I'm going to have to build up the back of the arms just like I did the front, because they are ever so slightly different. So here's what you want to do. We're going to be starting on the left hand side first. And here's what you want to do for the second row. So working outwards, coming in towards the centre, you're just going to want to do 3 cyan wool, 1 dark blue. Next row, kind of in reverse, you want to do a dark blue and then 3 cyan going towards the centre to give you something which should look like that. Then the next row wants to be entirely dark grey, and here's where familiarity is going to take over. I wasn't sure if I'd be able to pull that word off. Familiarity. Yeah, there we go. Close enough. So here's what you want to do for the next 2 rows. We're going to be doing this a little unconventional again. So you're going to want to raise up this end row right here and the row one away from it right here. So just as we did on the front, you're just going to want to do the 2 rows of dark grey going straight up like that. And then we're going to be doing the exact same pattern as we have on the front in the rows in between. We're going to be doing this. 2 light grey, 1 dark grey. And then you just want to do the light grey, dark grey pattern until you reach the top of the arm, like that. And you want to do the same thing in the other empty row as well. So 2 light grey, 1 dark grey, and then alternate in between light grey, dark grey, dark grey for the chainmail. And as you can see, it's the exact same on the front except it's shifted over 1 row. So you're going to want to have something which should look like that. Pause that if necessary. Once you've done that, we're going to be doing the exact same thing onto the other arm. So we're going to be doing this ever so slightly faster. So for the other arm, you're just going to want to do, again, working outwards to in, on top of the row of sandstone, 3 cyan, 1 dark blue, next row, 1 dark blue, 3 cyan. Come on, there we go, I knew you could do it. Next row, entirely dark grey, and then raise up the most outer row, and then the row that is 1 away from the outer, right up to the top of the statue, giving you the 2 rows of dark grey that kind of meld into the front of the statue. And then you just want to do the pattern in both of the empty rows, so 2 light grey, 1 dark grey, then alternate. And same in the other one as well. Grey, dark grey, alternate. There we go, and those are the back of the arm. So pause that if necessary. Make sure you've done that right. I may have done that ever so slightly faster than I wanted to, but very easy to do, as you can see. Pretty much the exact same as the front of the arms, except, you know, in different positions, moved over 1. And let me show you the whole back of the statue as well, because that is what you want to have for the entire back of the statue. And as I said earlier, the cloak will be raised up a little later on, and it will give the back a bit more volume. It will be a bit more interesting. So pause that if necessary. Once you've done that, we can get to work on the sides of the statue. So coming over to this side. I always start on this side. I don't know why. I don't think I've ever started on the other side. Here's how I'm going to do the side. I'm going to be working on the left column going up, and then the right column going up. That's how it's going to work. So this left column right here, just focusing on this one for the time being, you're just going to want to do 1 black, 1 light grey, 1 dark blue, 1 light grey, and then the rest of the column just wants to be dark blue, just coming up to the bottom of the hands, like so. Next column, you're going to want to do 1 black, 1 cyan, 1 dark blue, 1 cyan, 1 black, rest dark blue, to give you something which should look a little bit like that. And I noticed that the sun's coming down, so I'm going to cut this out. Then we're going to do the side of the arm, other side of the statue, and we're going to finish this off. So back in a sec. Alright, so once you finish with that side of the legs, pause that if necessary of course, we can work our way up to the side of the arms. And the first thing you're going to want to do is take out your sandstone block. You're going to want to fill in the under part of the arms, like this, with your sandstone, to give you something which should look a little bit like that. And you'll notice once you've done that, you'll have formed the first row of the side of the arm. So what you want to do for the second row is you want to fill both spaces in with cyan wool. Next row, both spaces in with dark blue. And the row after that, both spaces in with dark grey, to give you something which should look like that. And once you've done that, we're going to go back to the column system. So we'll be working on this left row going straight up and the right row going straight up. So for the left row, you're going to want to do 2 light grey, 1 dark grey. Then you're just going to want to alternate between light grey and dark grey until you reach the top of the shoulder. So you're going to want to have something which should look like that. And you may notice the row that we've just made is a copy of the row that we have on the front of the statue. They're identical. Pause that if necessary. Then what you want to do for the row directly next to it is just fill it in entirely with dark grey wool to make up the chainmail on the side of his arm. So pause that if necessary. Once you've done that, you can just fill in the top of the shoulder to complete this side of the statue, and you just want to fill the top of the shoulder in with red wool like that, and you only have to come in 3 deep because the head will take care of the rest. And in case you're wondering why it's red, it's his cloak. So let me just show you this side of the statue. There you go. Pause that if necessary. Once you've done that, we can move over to the other side, and this other side is going to be extremely easy because it is the exact same as that side of the statue that we've just done. And as you may notice, looking straight forward, all you have to do is copy what you have on that side of the statue onto this side of the statue. So I'm just going to be doing exactly that, and you guys should do the same. So I'm not going to be giving you any instructions because I'm not using them. You just have to use what you already have. Just look over at the other side of the statue, assuming that you have managed to make it, and then just copy what you have there onto here. There's nothing simpler. So same applies for the arms as well. Just copy what you have on that side of the arms onto this side. There is no need for any pesky instructions or anything like that. You can just use your eyes and you will be fine. So that's the side of the arms, and the same goes for the shoulder as well. You just want red, as you can see. That fits nicely, and once it's all once the cloak's all raised, and I might even raise the top of the shoulders. I've not done it on the original statue, but I might do it on this one. It might look a little better, but that's what you want to have for this side of the statue. Exact same as the other side. You can go and check. Pause that if necessary. Once you've done that, give yourself a little bit of a pat on the back because you've made your way through, I'd say, about 85% of the statue. So once you are at this point where you have done the entire front, the entire back, and the entire sides of the statue, it's now time for us to do Thor's head. So again, once you are at this point, the entire front, entire back, entire sides, you're going to want to come to the front of the statue. You're going to want to come to the top of the torso right here. And you're going to want to, on top of the 8 original blocks of the torso, just do a row of 8 dark grey wool on top of them, like so. Then you want to do another row of 8 dark grey in front of the row of dark grey that you've just done. So you're going to want to have that. Then in front of that row of dark grey, you're going to want to do an entire row of sandstone. So you're going to want to do that. And let me just give you a bit of a side view, because you want to make sure that that row of sandstone is overhanging the front of the statue by 2 rows, which it is. So that row of sandstone is actually the first row of Thor's face, and we're going to be building on top of this, build up the entire face, then the sides and the back of the head, and then we'll put the finishing touches on the statue. We're very almost done. So first things first, actually, we're just going to need a couple more colours just to complete this. So just store your dark blue and cyan for a little while. You're just going to want to grab white and light blue just for the eyes. So once you have done your row of sandstone, once you've grabbed the white and the light blue, we can work on the face. So the next row of the face wants to be this. You want to do 2 brown in the 2 centre spots of the row, and then sandstone everywhere else. Third row of the face wants to be entirely sandstone, like so. Next row, we're going to be doing this from left to right just because it'll be easiest. You want to do this. 1 sandstone, 1 white, 1 light blue, 2 light grey wool, 1 light blue, 1 white, and finally 1 sandstone. That is literally the only reason we needed the white and the light blue. We don't need them anymore. That's it, they're finished. Next row, you just want to do 2 dark grey in the 2 centre spots of the row, light grey everywhere else. Next row, somewhat similar, you want to do 2 light grey in the centre spot, light grey on the ends of the row, and dark grey everywhere else. Next row, you want to do this. You want 2 light grey in the centre, a single dark grey either side of the light grey, and then light grey everywhere else. And then the next row after that just wants to be a copy of the previous, so just light grey in the centre, light grey on the sides, and then dark grey right next to the light grey. And alright, so that's what you want for Thor's face. Pause that if necessary. Once you've done that, we can get to work on the rest of the head. So coming around to the back of the head, here's what you want to do. You're going to want to extend back this original row of 8 dark grey wool that started off the head. You want to extend this back with your yellow wool until it overhangs the back of the statue by 2 rows. So similar to how the front of the head overhangs the front by 2 rows, you want the back of the head to overhang the back of the statue by 2 rows also. So you're going to want to have something which should look like that. Pause that if necessary. Once you've done that, you're going to want to come round to the back of the head, this back row of yellow wool that we have, and we're going to be building up on top of this back row. So what you want to do is, on top of this row of yellow wool, you're just going to want to add 2 more rows of solid yellow wool. So 1, 2, and then fill them in. So you're going to want to have that. Then, on top of the 2 yellow wool rows that you've made, you're going to want to do an entire row of dark grey. So you're going to want to have that. And here's where things are going to start getting a little unorthodox. That's all we're going to be doing for the back of the head so far. So pause that if necessary. Once you've done that, we're going to be coming to the side of the head. So it doesn't really matter which side of the head you start on, actually. I was going to say come to this side, but it doesn't really matter. You're doing the same thing on both sides. So here's what you want to do. For the second row of the side of the head, we're going to be coming from back to front, and here's what you want to do. You want to do 3 yellow wool, and 1 dark grey, and then you want to leave the row alone. Then, for the next row, you want to do 2 yellow, 1 dark grey, then leave it at that. Then, for the next row, you just want to do 3 dark grey wool, and then you want to leave it at that, and that's all you want to do for the side of the head. Pause that if necessary. Once you've done that side, you're going to want to do the exact same thing on the other side, and if you want, you can just copy what you have on that side. That's what I'm going to be doing, but just in case you want instructions, back to front, 3 yellow, 1 dark grey. Next row, 2 yellow, 1 dark grey. Next row, just 3 dark grey, to give you something which should look like that. And the reason that I've built it like this is because all we have to do, once you're at this point, once you've done that to both sides and once you've done this to the back, all you have to do is fill the rest of the head in with light grey wool. So here's how I like to do it. I like to make the head into a giant shape, a giant cube to be more specific, and then I like to fill in the faces. But however you want to accomplish it, that's up to you. If you want to build up the sides individually, you do that. But I build it into a cube like this, and then I fill in the faces, and quite literally, as I said, all you want to do is you just want to fill the rest of the head in with light grey wool, because that's Thor's helmet. Thor's helmet makes up like 80% of his head. So you just want to do what I'm doing. I would consider cutting this out, but why bother? Why bother? You've got to do it as well, so just painstakingly go through. And there's nothing on the top of the head either. It's just light grey. So, oops, meant to fill that row in. Slipped a little bit. So you just want to have something which should look, after you've filled it all in with light grey. Alright, so once you've finished filling in the head with light grey, pause this if you need to catch up of course, we can add the finishing touches to the helmet. So here's what you want to do, and I always hate these parts. I can't really explain what I'm doing, but it's really easy to see what I've done. So here's what you want to do. From this side of the head first, you're just going to want to add in these 2 rows of light grey onto the side. So you just want to do that. Then, once you've done those 2 rows of light grey, you just want to add 2 more coming towards the back of the helmet to kind of give you like a Q shape. So you're just going to want to make that shape on the side of the helmet. Pause that if necessary. Once you've done that, you're going to want to do this. So you're just going to want to make kind of like a square shape on the top left-hand corner of the weird little Q shape. And then once you've made the square, you're going to want to do this. You see what I mean? I can't really put into words what I'm doing, but it should be very easy to see what I've done and just copy it for yourself. So that's what you want for the side of the helmet. That's all the detail that you have to do. Pause that if necessary. Once you've done that, you want to do the exact same thing for the other side, and unfortunately I'm in the same position. I can't really explain what I'm doing, but I can show you what I've done. So you want to first of all do that. Then you want to add in the 2 other rows coming towards the back to give you, this time, a P shape. Then you just want to add in the little square on the top right hand corner of the P, and then do that to give you the little pointy bits on the side of Thor's helmet. I think they're supposed to be little, like, wing thingies on the side of the helmet. I'm not exactly sure what they're supposed to be, I'm going to be honest. But you want to have that, so pause that if necessary. Let me just give you a bit of a front view, because it does improve it dramatically. Look at that. Where it just used to look ugly, now it looks fantastic. So once you've done that, we've just got one more thing to do with the statue, and then we've finished. So you're going to want to come to the back of the statue, and remember how I said the cloak's going to get 3D? Well, that's what we're going to be doing now. You just want to, wherever you have red on the back of the statue, you just want to raise it out by one block. So however you want to do that, hopefully you'll be a little more successful than I am. However you want to do it, just throw on an extra row of red coming out of the back to give you Thor's cloak. So going to want to have something which should look a little bit like that. See? Improved dramatically. Now notice it's getting a little dark, so I'm going to pause this here, and I will come back with the little 360 degree view of Thor. So the cloak was the final touch that you had to put on Thor, and these videos just wouldn't be complete if I didn't give you the nice 360 degree view after we finished the tutorial. There's no more, everything's done. You've managed to do everything. I did kind of forget, I was gonna raise the red on the shoulders just to make it look as though the cloak was draped in a little more, but I had a feeling it might interfere with the helmet, so I didn't try it. But you might want to do that. I don't think it would look good, to be honest, because it would connect with the side of the helmet. I probably wouldn't do it. This is probably my favourite Avengers statue. Maybe next to Captain America. I would say Iron Man, but Iron Man statue, the problem with that is you've only really got two sources of red, one of which is Neverbrick, which never looks good, so Neverbrick never looks good. Maybe I'm the only one that finds that fun. Anyway, that is the Thor statue. I hope it was easy enough to follow. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one. I'm not sure who I'll be making next. Probably either Hulk or Captain America. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, maybe you should think about subscribing. I have plenty more stuff like this on my channel. I have tutorials ranging from YouTube statues, skin statues, houses, pixel art, the list goes on. Thanks for watching.